Hello, welcome back to Trading to Freedom. My name's Mike, and today I just want to do a follow-up market analysis from our last video. I was talking about how things were looking really bearish, protect your capital, and man, was I right. I freaking nailed it. The day after that video, we saw a 10% drop in one day on Bitcoin, and S&P and stocks also selling off pretty hard. Where do we sit now? Let's take a look. Turning on my drawings here, you can see we actually found support. Which I guess actually has some confluence here. Looking at the lower time frames, it looks like we may have put in a little bit of a double bottom here. My main concern here, though, is that it's the weekend, and breakouts on the weekend have a pretty low success rate compared to how they normally perform. For me, this is a no trade zone right here, especially since it's the weekend. If we can manage to flip this into support, then I would start looking for some short-term longs potentially. But as it stands right now, this is a no trade zone for me. Turning on our VPVR, you can see we actually found support right around this cluster volume here. This range is actually the highest cluster of volume in this entire area, highlighted there in green. I would say roughly between 21.6K and 20.7K. So that's where Bitcoin stands right now. According to the 12-hour, we have potential to make a rip back up right here. Price really likes to punch through the Kumo twist. It's pretty crazy how accurate Ichimoku can be. You can see here on the daily, as soon as we dropped out of the bottom of the cloud, it dumped hard. That was the 10% move I was talking about. Trying to find a little bounce here, but at the moment, not sure how this is going to play out. So for me, this is a wait and see game at the moment until I see price develop a bit further. Moving on to Ethereum, you can see it actually found support on the Kijun here on the daily. I would proceed with extreme caution with Ethereum at the moment. You could see people buying the rumor all the way up until the day of the merge and then selling a day or two before. Typically when you have airdrops, the people that are newer to the space will try and hold, but a lot of times you'll also see price sell off 1 or 2 days before an airdrop happens. So just be cautious about that. I would not be looking for any longs on Ethereum until it reclaims this area right here. And it looks like we're tapping the 21 daily EMA at the moment. Moving down to the 4-hour, you see we actually lost the cloud completely, and it's now giving you a bearish Kumo twist. You could potentially come up and test 1800 again, which has a lot of confluence with, but 1700 would be the first area that I'm looking at. Following up with the S&P 500, man, that was a perfect touch of the trend line and the 200 daily moving average with a perfect rejection. I honestly wasn't expecting it to be that clean, but sometimes it just works out like that. The red line here is the 200 daily moving average, and you see you actually had a fake out above, and then it came back below and then retested it and got rejected. We'll see if it can find any support here on the 0.5 fib. It's entirely possible we still come up and try to test again and make a double top before we roll over, or even a slight fake out above and then roll over. Either way, I think the probability that we head further down at this point is much higher in the macro picture. We'll see what happens when the Fed comes back next month. Depending on what they do with rates, it could make a big impact on the stock market and consequently also the crypto markets. Moving on to the DXY, I think probability is suggesting that we clear this high and we make a new local high in the short term. How high it will go remains to be seen, but from a macro perspective, typically you won't see it start to turn around until the Fed eases on its rate hikes. The Fed most likely isn't going to ease up on its rate hikes until we see inflation get under control. And historically, inflation doesn't normally get under control until the rates at least match the inflation rate. So we could be playing this game for a while, but we'll just play it week by week. We'll have to see how it continues. One last thing to note about Bitcoin, we actually lost the 200 weekly moving average again. This is definitely closing below in 3 hours and 54 minutes. So we'll see what happens with that. That could also play an important line of resistance at roughly 23K. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for me today. I hope you enjoyed this quick update. I'm not always spot on like I was in my last analysis. Nobody is. Always approach the markets with caution. Always pay attention to how much you could end up losing as opposed to how much you could win. And that will really keep you in check, keep your head in check when you start playing with leverage and other things like that. That being said, as always, if you want to trade on my preferred platform, there's a link for BITGET in the description. You can get up to a $4,000 deposit bonus, and they are registered in the US, so you can use them without any VPN. I'm just starting up this channel, and I really appreciate your support. If you could drop a like, a comment, and a subscribe, it would really help me out, which should end up helping you out in return. All right, guys, that'll do it for me today. Until next time, trade safely.